Tony Bennett seemed like the nicest man in music. He worked with everyone from Lady Gaga to Frank Sinatra and always carried himself with warmth and grace. But behind the charm and smiles was a story of hardship, loss, and resilience that shaped his extraordinary journey. Born Anthony Dominic Benedetto on August 3, 1926, in Long Island City, Queens, Tony's arrival was the first in his family to take place in a hospital, a small but symbolic step forward for an Italian immigrant household that had endured years of struggle. His parents had left Italy hoping for a better life in New York, but what they found was poverty and constant uncertainty. Their modest apartment in Astoria was heated by coal stoves that barely kept out the winter chill, and food was often scarce. Tony would later recall that a hot meal was never guaranteed. His father, Giovanni, worked long hours as a grocer, but his health was fragile. Without life insurance, every setback pushed the family closer to collapse. In 1936, when Tony was just 10 years old, tragedy struck. Giovanni died at the age of 50, leaving Tony's mother, Anna, to raise 3 children alone during the Great Depression. She worked long days as a seamstress in a sweatshop, sewing piece after piece for little pay, often worrying about eviction or repossession. Soup kitchens became part of the family's routine. Though the loss of his father was devastating, it gave Tony a sense of compassion and humility that never left him. That same year, he had a moment that would change his life. At just 10 years old, he was chosen to sing at the opening of the Triborough Bridge, standing before a massive crowd and even catching the attention of Mayor Fiorello LaGuardia, who patted him on the head. That moment gave Tony his first glimpse of the power of his voice and a sense that music could carry him beyond hardship. By 13, the pressure to support his family led him to work as a singing waiter in Queens, wearing a worn white jacket. He served plates of pasta before stepping up to sing for the diners. Customers thought he was just a talented neighborhood kid, but for Tony, every song meant milk and bread on the table at home. He later said he learned more about people and music in those restaurants than anywhere else. Alongside his passion for singing, he nurtured a love of art. He attended the School of Industrial Art in Manhattan, where he studied painting and design, and he dreamed of becoming a commercial artist. But by 16, he had to drop out of school and work a series of small jobs, from copy boy to elevator operator, while still chasing opportunities to sing at amateur nights in local clubs. In 1944, Tony's life changed dramatically when he was drafted into the Army during World War II. He served in the 63rd Infantry Division in France and Germany, witnessing combat during the brutal final stages of the war, including the Battle of the Bulge. The horrors he saw, freezing nights in foxholes, destroyed villages, and the deaths of friends marked him for life and turned him into a passionate advocate for peace. Even in war, he found moments to sing for fellow soldiers, using music to bring comfort amid chaos. When he returned home, the Bill gave him a chance to study music seriously. Under vocal coach Mimi Spear, he was advised to draw inspiration not from other singers, but from instrumentalists, a lesson that helped him develop his unique phrasing and jazz-influenced style. Performing under the name Joe Barry, Tony struggled through small club gigs until a stroke of fate changed everything. One night, singer Pearl Bailey heard him perform and was so struck by his voice that she invited him to open her show. Soon after, Bob Hope himself came to hear him sing and offered him the opportunity to perform at the Paramount Theater. Hope also suggested a new stage named Tony Bennett, a name that would soon become iconic. By 1950, Bennett had signed with Columbia Records and quickly rose to fame. His first big hit, Because of You, topped the charts for 10 weeks, followed by Cold Heart, which bridged the gap between pop and country audiences. Then came Rags to Riches in 1953, a song that would sell millions and later appear in classic films like Goodfellas and The Godfather. By the mid-1960s, Bennett had placed 24 singles in the top 40 and established himself as one of the great voices of popular music. Unlike many pop singers of his era, Bennett embraced jazz. He recorded daring projects with legends like Count Basie, Art Blakey, and Stan Getz, earning respect from musicians who at first doubted him. His 1957 album The Beat of My Heart was experimental and risky, but it showed his willingness to follow artistry over commercial safety. Then in 1962, he recorded the song that would define him, Forever I Left My Heart in San Francisco. Initially dismissed as too sentimental, the song became a timeless anthem, winning two Grammys and eventually becoming the official song of San Francisco, but fame brought challenges. Bennett's personal life was turbulent. His first marriage ended in divorce, and his second marriage, to actress Sandra Grant, was filled with tension. Professionally, the arrival of rock music in the 1960s left him struggling to adapt. Columbia Records pressured him to record pop covers he despised, and when he finally left the label, he faced financial ruin. By the late 1970s, he was battling addiction, debt, and depression. In 1979, overwhelmed by drugs and despair, he nearly died after a cocaine overdose. It was only thanks to Sandra's quick actions that he survived. That brush with death became a turning point. Tony reached out to his sons, especially Danny, who took over managing his career. Instead of chasing trends, Danny booked him in colleges and theaters, introducing his timeless style to new generations. Slowly but surely, Tony rebuilt his career. By the 1980s, he was back with Columbia Records, and by the 1990s, he was reaching new peaks. In 1994, his MTV Unplugged performance stunned the music world. Known for grunge and alternative rock, the show became one of the highest-rated episodes, and the live album won the Grammy for Album of the Year. As he grew older, Bennett defied expectations. He released hit duet albums with stars like Paul McCartney, Elton John, Amy Winehouse, and Lady Gaga. His collaboration with Gaga on Cheek to Cheek in 2014 topped the charts, proving that at nearly 90 years old, he was still at the top of his game. His final album, Love for Sale, released in 2021, made him the oldest artist in history to release an album of new material. Beyond music, Bennett left a lasting legacy in education. In 2001, he and his wife Susan founded the Frank Sinatra School of the Arts in Queens, giving young students opportunities in music, dance, and visual arts. He often said that giving back was the most meaningful part of his success. In 2016, Bennett was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, but he continued to perform for years, astonishing doctors and fans alike with his flawless memory for music. His final concerts in 2021, performed alongside Lady Gaga, were emotional farewells to a career that spanned more than 7 decades. On July 21, 2023, Tony Bennett passed away peacefully in New York at the age of 96. In his lifetime, he recorded over 70 albums, sold 50 million records, and won 20 Grammy Awards, including one for his final collaboration with Lady Gaga. He was remembered not only as a singer, but as an artist, a humanitarian, and a man who never lost his compassion despite the hardships he endured. From his early days as a singing waiter in Queens to his final bow on the world stage, Tony Bennett remained a voice of honesty, warmth, and timeless artistry.